Now the lands of Bourne Manor were held by Peterborough Abbey, and fief to Hereward's kin, for time beyond all memory. The Conqueror had given the abbey to a Norman abbot called Thorold, and he in his turn had given the lands to the Frenchman whose knells had been knolled. So Peterborough became the target for Hereward's rebel army, the starting line for his epic run, chasing the Normans to the sea. The Danish fleet supplied more men, for they wintered in Angle land. William scarce knew the horrid fate he'd let stay on Saxon land. Thorold was sitting in vast estate, surveying his spoils with pride, when a chastened attendant hurried in and drew him to one side. "O master, master, the end has come, Lord Gabriel's trump has sounded. A hell-sent cloud of dust draws nigh, that cannot be of earth founded." Thorold made a sign to ward off hurt, and rushed to view this cloud, that came with noise of marching feet, and his soldiers utterly cowed. "Fools, you fools," the abbot cried, "alarm, do not gawp and sit. This heralds not the end for us, unless we wait for it." But the Saxon force had ranged itself, the Wake and Lightfoot in the van. 1,000 feathered shafts rose into the sky, and dropped into many a man. With triumphant shouts the Anglo-Danes hurled themselves into the fray. The half-lurted ramparts proved no strength, and they soon had won the day. The gates were breached, the walls were stormed, the sentries slain at the doors. Into the proudly pathetic town the rebel army pours. Peterborough's grey was mixed with red, and gave itself up to the sky. Amongst the heaven pure fluffy white the hell-black plumes rose high. Ah, if only those darkened clouds would dry themselves out with rain, then the shattered town would cry and weep, and wash away its pain. Amongst its heat-musty narrow roads, like a lover searching for his suit, the Vikings sought for silver and riches that they could rape and loot. Hereward alone withstood the flames, like an islet resists a wave. A rescued maiden over his shoulder, from ruin only he would brave. All night long a light did shine, the Saxons had struck a blow, but Hereward knew it was at a cost that he did not wish to know. "Go forth, you Danes," his strong voice boomed, at the men he had admired as strong. "Return to your evil wicked ways, we have known you overlong." And with light hearts their allies went, with the glories of their gains. Not a Saxon was loath to see them go, nor to deal again with Danes. And far away another man stood watching the fiery breath, said, "Scape Thorold between his teeth, I'll hunt this Wake to his death. A confrontation I will seek with this Hereward the Wake. I'll stop him, and this Torfrida witch I'll throw for proof in a lake." Now chronicles true that tell a tale come unto my pen and write, that English and Dane would ever fail to wipe out clean this blight. So bereft of numbers the Wake did sail from the scenes of that dark night, and go where women do not wail, to the Isle of Ely in flight. With this knowledge Thorold did ply to shallow English victory, and beg his master a further try to make Hereward bend the knee. But the fens and waters of Ely are friends so dear to me. Thus it was that Thorold came to the place where freedom was kept. To wipe away his guilty shame, into Ely itself he crept. But the Hereward he met was just the same, and his men they had not slept. The mighty army the Saxons to tame from earth was doomed to be swept. A mighty hush, a pheasant call on hay-dry ill marsh grass, a soldier horde of blackened steel, a huge enormous mass. Their shields they kept close to them, and the traversing of their spears echoed the movement of their eyes and the passaging of their fears. Hereward and Martin watched them as their tentacles snaked about. They sensed the tension and the mind that turned a clash into rout. And behind them in a fold below, Saxon tongues licked Saxon lips. The fear grew as the distance shrank, hands whitened on shield grips. Was it an oil-rich arrow knocked, or a glint in Torfrida's eye? For the English hidden neath the scrub a sudden red did spy, a sudden colour that grew and spread around the attacking forces, a crackling, spreading, budding flower that bloomed and bolted their horses. The English stood and cheered with glee at the carnage they could witness, and threw in many a spear and bolt to further spread the distress. Thorold's front of iron-enclosed flesh snapped sharp like rotten wood. Screaming men with clothes ablaze thrashed wildly in the mud. Retreat was ordered, but ordered it was not, as the Normans ran like deer, pursued the flame which grated them out, falling to axe or to spear. That night much joy attended sleep, and though men kept clear of Torfrida, they sat and laughed far into the night, and gallantly toasted their leader. But on the other side of the hill, where Turold counted dead and burns, Hereward's name was bandied about, as the hatred that losing earns. When Turold spoke to his royal master, William was grim at the feet. He said, "You are obviously no match for the Wake, clearly him and I must meet. Realise you the fame that Ely has? Bishop Ethelwine and Earl Morcare have taken heart after Hastings, and I know seek refuge there." "My lord," said Turold, "I only think of the damage this man may do. He must be Scotch, and I know that this I can do for you." William spoke to the wrinkled brow, "Your grace, your mind is slow. I shall secure the Lincoln fens, and you, Turold, shall follow." Cheeks burning bright red, Turold went, not daring defy royal command, to follow at a dog at his master's heel, to the scene of Hereward's stand. At this time William knew more of war than anyone else anywhere. His name alone was 3,000 men. He put Will and his soldiers to dare. His forces converged on Ely, by both the land and the sea. Larger, better led, but worse than that, confident of victory. Amongst the marches of the fens, the two sides manoeuvred and swung, around like dancers in a fierce reel. On it the fate of England hung.